Vineet, hi, good to have you with us. How have you been?
Yeah, hey Ashu, great to catch up with you all over again.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I
Yes,
hope
yeah,
COVID has been safe for everybody at office, at home.
yeah,
No significant damage. It's been a bad one, but I hope nothing significant on
yeah.
your
No,
end.
we are all safe and sound. So I am, you can say, doubly vaccinated now.
Wonderful.
So yes, though entire family got afflicted from COVID, but yes, we all got well. So thank God everything is good.
Touch wood, right? And I hope everybody continues to stay safe. These are difficult times for each one of us. Vineet, we've gone through as a country, and I think globally, right? We've gone through a very difficult time, right? And I think what has essentially happened is there was a huge, while of course trade has continued to happen, but what has also happened this time is there's a huge trade and trust deficit, right, or trust deficit in trade that has happened, right? And that makes the conversation today very interesting, right? Because I think what you're really trying to do with Castler Escrow is trying to kind of ensure that there is trust in transaction, right? And that makes this conversation very exciting in that sense, right? But before we dive into that, Vineet, would love to sort of give us a quick run through your background. You've been a professional, you've been in the industry for a reasonable amount of time, and I mean, I very firmly believe that this is the time to start out, right? You've been at it for some time, right? So I think I would love to kind of ask you a bunch of questions on that side as well. But a quick round of introduction, and then we dive into what you're doing at Castler, the market around it, the opportunity, policies, and all that, right? So yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So sure, Ashu. So as you said, yeah, I have around, you can say, 20 plus years of experience in the consumer internet industry in India. Okay.
Mhm.
And my journey started way back in 2000 when the first, you can say, sort of meltdown happened in the internet space, and
Right.
the first set of layoffs happened in India. So I used to work for a new travel portal, and
Right.
that got acquired by Star TV, and then they laid me off, saying that my salary is too high. And I had booked a hotel room for Sanjeev Bikhchandani, the founder of Naukri. So I called him
Right.
and said, "Ki, hey, look, you have an opportunity to hire me, so let me know what you want to do."
Right.
So and Sanjeev met me, and then Sanjeev said, "Okay, you can come on board." I came on board as the ninth employee,
Right.
and but you'll have to take a salary cut. So 20
Right.
years ago, I took a salary cut. I used to earn 35,000 a month, and I joined Naukri at 25,000 a month. And you can say that 10,000
Interesting.
rupee a month cut turned out to be the most profitable decision that I ever took in my life.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a great journey at InfoEdge. I was
Right.
part of the management team there for 15 odd
Right.
years. First few years, I was head sales of Naukri, built the
Right.
team, expanded the business,
Right.
looked after multiple businesses there: Naukri, Jeevan Sathi, Naukri Gulf, Fast
Right.
Forward. We got very lucky. We were the humblest team, humblest startup, least funded, but
Right.
we beat a monster which was valued at 5 billion. And then JobStreet, JobsDB, Stepstone,
Right.
Times Jobs, Jobs Ahead, all of them had more money. But we got lucky, got the basics right, focused on
Right.
revenue, and built a great business. So I went public in 2006. After
Right.
that, I moved out of the parent Naukri India business to build a new business called 99 Acres.
Right.
So next 7.5 years, I worked in InfoEdge building 99 Acres, scaled it up to 30,000 customers, 100 crore in revenue. And after a 15-year stint, I moved out, became an
Right.
entrepreneur to start Buildzar,
Very interesting.
and an e-commerce platform to sell construction material.
Right.
Okay, so had a great start. Puneet Dalmia, who was the ex-founder of Jobs Ahead, he came on
Right.
board as investor. Uh, Puneet put around 20 crores as investment, and our initial metrics, etc., were very good. But in
Right.
2015, again, the market, you can say, went south. So the consumer commerce businesses became, you can say, we investors became very allergic to consumer commerce businesses. The entire, you can say, housing, Townie Owl, Pepper Tap, and all these, you can say, scenarios panned out and issues
Right.
happened. So we were not able to raise follow-on funding. So I shut down Buildzar in around 20 months, and then became chief business officer of MobiKwik. And I joined MobiKwik in when December 2017,
Mm-hmm.
December 2016, and the demonetization had happened a month back. So
Right.
just after a month of demonetization came on board and helped them, you can say, scale humongously.
Right.
So scaled up the team from around 150 people to 2,000 people. In
Right.
the next 20 months, we built an entire, you can say, offline and online merchant business, around 20 lakh merchants. Scaled up the GTV from 150 crores a month to 1,500 crores a month.
Right.
So a lot of good work happened in MobiKwik. But then again, I moved out to do something of my own
Right.
in search of an idea.
Right.
Spent, you can say, a few quarters investing, consulting, advising, and then found the idea of Castler. Yeah.
Right. Very interesting. I think, Vineet, I think one thing that seems to be a constant across, I think, each role that you've, kind of led, spearheaded, is a very entrepreneurial bent and a mindset.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been a good mission guy in my professional career. Okay, so you can say good visionaries have hired me, and I guess I've done a great job there.
Right.
So now the shoes have been reversed. So I'm not only the missionary here, I'm the visionary here as well. So so let's see
Interesting.
how that pans out. But yes, yeah. I focused on entrepreneurial roles. I focused on working for, you can say, very small or mid-sized kind of setups where
Right.
the hunger for scale is higher.
Right.
And till date, yes, have slightly shied away from corporatized jobs.
Interesting. Interesting, Vineet. And I think, post 2020 is actually the time to have, and I keep talking around my discussions, right? I think each time you talk to every single founder, irrespective of, whether it's a startup or a well-funded startup or a large enterprise, I think there's this renewed, emphasis on cultivating entrepreneurial talent within organizations, right? Because I think now we essentially moved into the unknown, right? I think the times have become very, very dynamic, right? But I think we'll save that for the next time, Vineet, and I think we'll
Yeah,
dive into our discussion about Castler, right? So
right.
I think there's some very interesting stuff that you're doing at Castler Escrow, right? Escrow in general has largely been limited to banking institutions. And I've been a banker. I started my career as a banker, and I know how difficult was it as a process to set up an escrow, right? And I think there were like 200 questions and many many documents that need to be furnished, right? And typically a transaction size in a setting like that was usually much larger, right? But I think here you are, kind of democratizing setting up an escrow, right? Something that can be done much faster. Tell us a little more about the product. What's been the journey? What made you do this? More importantly, right? I
So
think it's an interesting start.
right, yeah, yeah. So maybe around 1.5 years ago, I sold a car to one of the iBuying platforms in Gurgaon.
Right,
And I live in Saket, and in one of the Saket malls, they had an outlet.
right,
So I spoke to them on phone, sent the car, and we negotiated a deal. And they said, leave the car here only, and within 30 minutes you'll get your money. So
right,
I left the car. My driver left the car and the keys and the papers. The money did
right,
not come in 30 minutes. So on the third day, I went on LinkedIn to find the founders, then pinged them, and it
right,
took around 10 days for the money to hit the bank.
right,
So that left an impression that, hey, look, here the brand promises money in 30 minutes.
right,
You are selling not to an individual or to an agent or a broker. You are selling to a large enterprise which is VC funded.
right,
And what is it? Why is it that they are not able to walk the talk on the brand promise or the customer promise? Okay, so that left an impression.
right,
Around the same time, maybe same month, same week, a dear friend Vivek Sinha, who was you can say moving from MobiKwik to Oyo,
right.
he was selling some furniture in Gurgaon,
Uh-huh.
and somebody came posing as a buyer and sent a QR code for test transaction, and Vivek scanned it, and
Right,
I guess Vivek lost 18,290 rupees in the QR fraud.
right,
So then I and Vivek, we went together to the Gurgaon cyber cell to lodge a complaint, and there they told me that 70-80% of complaints are, you can say, payment frauds.
right,
So that rang a bell. I came back home, did some research that how foolproof, 100% secure transaction can be done between buyers and sellers.
right,
So found this company in US, which was started way back in 1999 called escrow.com.
right,
And then you can say, since that day, I became a student of escrow.
right,
And then I learned about the space, learned about the escrow.com business model,
right,
several other companies across the globe. So
right,
TradeSafe in South Africa, Vezicash in Nigeria, ShieldPay in UK, Assembly in Australia, MangoPay
right,
in France.
right,
So every geography has a escrow player. So learned from all
right,
of them, and then went about talking to banks. So took
right,
me around 6-7 banks. Uh, uh, took me around 6-7 months to make ICICI agree to partner
Right.
on our business model that we had envisaged.
Right.
And then took another, you can say 7-8 months to, you can say integrate into the ICICI tech stack to launch our product.
Interesting. Vivek, tell me more about the product, right? What's the construct of the product? Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah. So, Ashu, the product, okay. So what we have built is, look, initially at a thought level, the only thing I knew was the escrow.com model that any buyer and seller can come and use the Castler escrow. Okay.
Right.
As we became, you can say, better students, and as some people started knowing us,
Right.
people started approaching us for enterprise level needs. Okay.
Right.
Then we dove deeper into this, you can say, into this escrow problem, and realized that there is a latent demand in India on the enterprise side on using the products. There is a very large corporate set which is already using the product, and the pain points are, you can say, significant.
Right.
Okay, so we found that around 1 lakh companies in India, 100,000 companies use escrow accounts. The banks are converting only about 50% of the escrow account leads that they're getting. So there is latent demand which is unmet. Okay.
Right.
And then we shifted our model, and from consumer, we said that we'll build an enterprise stack kind of a product, which is escrow as a service.
Right.
And that took us another 3-4 months to build. So
Right.
now we built a product where any enterprise or any individual, if you want to do a safe transaction,
Right.
you can come to Castler. We will KYC you online. We will execute the agreement digitally. And then we will give you a digital escrow account with an IFSC code. And then you can transact. On top of that, we have built a very unique, you can say, transaction CRM for transacting parties.
Right.
So let's say you are buying a condo, from Vivek, and the value of the deal is 5 crores, and 50 lakhs is the advance payment for agreement to sell.
Right.
So the 50 lakhs, so we will KYC both of you, validate your bank accounts. 50 lakhs will come from you into the escrow, okay, and the agreement to sell will be executed.
Right.
So all this is done online, digitally, fully secure. And then between the two of you, since you are the buyer and Vivek is the seller,
right.
Vivek will become the maker of a transaction, that he will say, okay, agreement to sell executed. Please transfer 50 lakhs to my savings account.
Right.
And you as the buyer will validate and say, yes, agreement to sell has been executed. As per terms, please transfer the money, and the money will be transferred. Right. So we built a very unique maker, checker, verifier, approver kind of a transaction approval protocol,
right,
which provides a great level of confidence and security to all transacting parties.
Right. Very interesting. Vineet, when you look at escrow, right? I mean, escrow is essentially established as a mechanism. One, of course, is to improve monitoring, right, and transparency in a certain set of business operations, right? And second, is to create trust, right? But as soon as you start talking about both of these things, right, one thing which is very typical, right, and something that happens, is more so the case, when you're talking about Indian subcontinent, right, is disputes, right, and in India, when you talk about legal aspects, right, there is no very clear mechanism of dispute resolution, right, when it comes to trade and transactions, right, unlike certain other countries. What happens in a case like this, right? So when two parties have come together, right, and assuming that they want to get into an end-to-end transaction, right, but they fall apart, right? The transaction falls apart in the process. There is a dispute that happens in the process, right? What becomes your role in the process, right? I mean, I understand that you're channelizing transaction. You're kind of keeping it safe till the transaction gets complete. Both the parties sort of get to a common point. But what happens if it falls apart, right? What is your role in that case?
Sure. So Ashu, in case there is a dispute happens, okay. So the escrow, you can say, works on the terms and conditions agreed between the transacting parties, the escrow agreement that they have signed with us. Okay. Now, if a dispute happens, both parties have peace of mind. The money is in a third-party escrow. They are not running after each other for the monies. Okay. So the money remains safe till the parties sort it out, either amicably or through legally, produce us a proof of settlement, and then we release the monies. Okay. So as of now, we don't provide any intermediary kind of a service at a platform level.
Right.
Some global players do that. We are too young for that right now. Okay. Maybe at a slightly later stage, we will be providing an intermediary service as well. As of now, there is no empirical data as such that what percentage of transactions get disputed, etc.
Right.
And these are very early days. So if there is a business model, if there is a clear customer need to be addressed there, then we'll look at it.
Right.
But yes, a lot of our investors, a lot of our customers have said that this is an area which we can look at plugging the gap as well at an intermediating level, if for you can say at least petty level disputes.
Right. Interesting. And I think possibly you're doing it case to case basis currently.
Case to case basis, whenever a transaction happens, touch wood, no disputes have happened till now. But what we ensure is that we do a very thorough kind of an escrow agreement, which clearly outlines the roles and responsibilities and terms and conditions of the transactions.
Interesting.
And clearly articulates to all transacting parties that what happens if there is a dispute, so that later on, unnecessarily, there is no heartburn that money should be with me or money should be with them. The terms and conditions are crystal clear that money resides in the third-party digital escrow till the transaction gets completed or the transaction gets cancelled, and we receive instructions from authorized individuals or authorized parties on what is to be done to the monies.
Very interesting. Vineet, what's the so you've given the construct in terms of how the product is, right? What are the roles and responsibilities of each stakeholder, who's involved in a certain transaction, and and the role of Castler in the process, right, of enablement, right?
Yes.
And ensuring that there is trust and there is transparency, and like we discussed, right, some of these key characteristics which I think are inherently built in the product that you're kind of offering, right? But what is the revenue model in this case, right? Given that you operate in an ecosystem, right, where the focus is to continue to decrease costs, right? What's the revenue play out? How does Castler make money in the process?
Yeah. So Ashu, the interesting thing is that look, the current escrow market in India is close to $100 billion in gross transaction value.
Right.
Okay. The addressable revenue pool is around, you can say, $4.5–5 billion.
Right.
So this is a product where transacting parties or customers have to spend reasonable amount of money. Okay. That is why the democratization of escrow has not happened till now. Why? Let's say you and me, if we are doing a real estate transaction, we will not even think of using the escrow. Okay. Why? Because it has not been evangelized as a democratized kind of a product, because it costs maybe 50,000 or a couple of lakhs to open an escrow account.
Right.
Okay. So so two reasons why we have not seen democratization of escrow is, one is there is no digital avatar of the escrow product as such, which we are in a way trying to do. And second point is that democratization of fees or standardization of fees has not happened. It's extremely ad hoc. It is extremely, you can say it, client to client, transaction to transaction based. Nobody's bothered to standardize the documentation or the fee. Okay. And a lot of people get scared of using the escrow because of the fee or the documentation or the turnaround time of opening an escrow account. So yes, you are right. So what we have done is that we are on a journey to standardize documentations, and we are on a journey to standardize the fees as well. Right. So we have been able to, in our short life, we have been able to democratize the trusteeship escrow agreement fees to a great extent, democratize the bank charges to a great extent, right, and still make a worthwhile business model, revenue model for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
So I like the business. So look, I am a different kind of entrepreneur or a businessman, if I can say that. I've done only those businesses where there was money to be made. That is, in what kind of time, what kind of investment and resources, the business will become profitable.
Right.
So we have taken a different approach to building a neobanking business.
Right.
We are not doing it for teens or millennials or whatever. Okay.
Right.
Others are doing that, who are, you can say, great credible players. Right. We are doing a more serious kind of a play. We are targeting the top 1 lakh corporates in India who are using escrow accounts for transactions worth crores of rupees.
Right.
And we want to go to them and use our product. So it's a different kind of a product. Yes, we are democratizing fee, but still there is a lot of money to be made.
Interesting. No, I like the way you put it, Vineet, right? I mean, I have a few questions around it. I mean, I have a few in general. I have a thesis and take on, the cost of transaction, right? And I very firmly believe that cost of transaction has to come down, right? And when you're talking about, say, $100 billion worth of, for example, say, escrow-related transactions happening, right? And when you talk about, say, $4.5 billion opportunity when it comes to, say, payments and services cost, right? I think that's an exorbitantly high cost, right? I very firmly believe in technology now getting integrated in the financial ecosystem, right? And many fintech players coming in, that cost has to substantially come down, right? I think for some reason, what is happening is that that cost is still holding up, right? But I think that's a discussion for a different time. We'll possibly talk about it,
Sure.
in our the next conversations, right? But I think coming to the core banking proposition beneath, right? Uh, I mean, escrow is something which was always part of the corporate banking, the bouquet that it offered, right? And it became a significant play as well, right? Wherever there was transaction happening, escrow was, usually plugged in, right? Today, banks are also behaving like fintech companies, right? So they're either bringing in these entrepreneurs who've done fintech companies, or they're cultivating their own set of entrepreneurs within the organization, right? To ensure that they tackle, what fintech companies have been offering and how aggressively they've been kind of offering all of that, right? And we are seeing a very different version and avatar of banks, right? Do you think, or how do you think, will their take on escrow be, right? Are they going to be your competitors while they're working with you today? Do you think they could evolve to be your competitors tomorrow? I mean, how do you see that relationship evolve?
Yeah, sure, sure. So look, as I said, it took me 7, 8 months to convince one bank and then go live with them. And now we are going live with three more banks, and we have a pipeline of 6 banks. Okay, so yes, initially it was very difficult. It took almost 7, 8 months to crack a deal, get a bank as a partner. But now everybody wants to work with us. Business is happening. People see that, okay, these are guys who will be able to acquire business and add value to us. So we
Okay,
act as, you can say, business development partners to banks and bring in fresh business to them. And naturally, over time, we will become integral partners and help them convert their existing business better as well, and maybe more efficiently as well. As far as banks becoming competitors, yes, look, anyone can become competitor.
hmm,
So bank can have digital escrow products of their own. Already banks have digital avatars of savings account and current accounts
right,
and all investment products. But still, the financial services, the fintech market or the tech fin market is on fire, right?
right,
So every new bank you talk to, their numbers are outstanding. Every you can say internet-based wealth management firm you talk to, their
right,
numbers are on fire. So everybody is doing well. So what does it all show? So look,
right,
competition does not matter. India
right,
is too big a market now. Okay,
right.
we are too big a market. We are too fragmented. There is a lot to be standardized. There is a lot to be digitized, and we are talking about a potential which is humongous and which will stay there for the next maybe 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
Okay, so this is like a gold rush. Okay, so you have to find your niche. You have to solidify that niche, strengthen your business model, be on firmer ground, start making money. Okay, ensure that your business has a revenue model. You are solving a problem for which customers start paying you. And then I am a believer in building the business old way. Okay, focus on your targets. If you keep on focusing on your targets and keep on achieving them, you'll survive. And if you survive, you have a good chance of success as well. Okay, if
I
you keep
like I like the way you put it, mate. I like the way you put it, right? And I like the positivity around this entire thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
Vineet, which are the key sectors that you're going after, right? I mean, of course, real estate is something that, is very obvious, right?
right,
And you highlighted a use case there, right? But
yeah.
which are the priority sectors that you're going after?
So okay, so priority sectors of financial services, that is huge, and that
Right,
is going through, you can say, revolution as such. Okay,
right.
and
And
there
when
are
you talk about financial services, can you break it down for us?
so lending, revenue-based finance, so the entire lending sector. So there's
Right,
so much of innovation and disruption happening in the lending sector.
right,
So many new business models emerging. Everybody wanting to have greater oversight over the borrowers.
right,
So there is, I think, a multi-billion-dollar market for escrow amongst lending only.
right.
Okay, and we work with certain use cases very closely, and in a way, we are building the entire backend for them. That how they
Mhm.
will acquire customers, how they will
Right,
KYC them, how money will flow in, how money will flow out.
right.
So the entire backend is being powered for at least some use cases by us. So I
Hmm.
think lending is a huge use case, which is one of our focus categories.
Right.
Real estate, marketplaces. Okay, so
Hmm.
now COVID has shown. So what, because of COVID, I think there is an irreversible change that has happened. Okay,
Right.
that we will continue to transact with each other remotely and through digital payments. So that
Hmm.
is a reality. We cannot run away with it. All of
Right.
us know that this COVID is not going to go away next month or next week or next quarter.
Right.
It's going to stay there for a while. So remote transactions, transacting with unknown parties,
Right.
online payments, these have to be, you can say, integrated into the business models of each and every
Right.
company, however online or offline they may be.
Right.
Okay. And that's where the innate demand for, you can say, safe, secure transactions is coming in.
Interesting. And which are the other sectors, right? So, I mean, is financial services like the core focus area right now, or
Yeah.
you're
So
looking
we
at
are a very
many,
humble
many
team,
other?
Ashu. We are just 10 people. Okay.
Right.
So we can run around only so much. So yes,
Right.
financial services is our core area. And then look, we've been business builders. We are salesmen at the end of the day, right? So,
Right.
and
Right.
20 साल यही किया है. So
Right.
as people come to know what me and my other founders are doing,
Right.
and so some leads come to us directly. We are not doing any sort of, you can say, digital marketing. You are the first
Right.
guy that I'm talking to over 2 years.
Right.
Okay. So in a way, we are launching Castler with you with through this interview. Okay.
Interesting. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we are
So
happy to host you.
thank you.
Yeah.
So we've stayed away from the market, building
Right.
quietly, so that at the right time we will come and, you can say, expose ourselves
Right.
to tell the world what we are doing.
Right.
So yes, as of now, we are busy with the leads that we have. So and focusing on certain sectors, because look, the stack that we are building, Ashu, it's not copy and paste. Though there
Mhm.
are escrow businesses which have been
Right.
existent for 30, 35 years globally,
Right. Right.
but the opportunity in India is totally different. So there is no
Right.
copy paste that I get inspired by somebody and say, "Acha, ye bana dete hain."
Right.
Okay. So it is about understanding Ashu's need or Asia Tech Journal's requirement,
Right.
then onboarding you as a customer and learning along the way ki banana kya hai, what
Right.
are your problems, how we can
Right.
solve better.
Right.
So this is first level product development. Okay. It is like
Right.
how we built the Naukri product 20 years ago.
Right.
That
Right.
Monster came to India with a global template. Monster came and Jobs DB came and Job Street came. They were all global companies,
Right.
but we were an Indian company. We onboarded customers, learned from them what
Right.
do they like, what do they don't like, and kept on doing what do they like more and more. And we
Right.
built an Indian product which beat all these billion-dollar companies.
Right.
Okay, so we are trying to build a Bharat first, if I can use the
Very
cliche,
interesting. Right.
a
No, it's
Bharat
not.
first, India first kind of a solution.
And you'll actually be surprised, Vinny. So I think Bharat is not a cliche, right? I think
Yeah,
there was a narrative around Bharat, right, which was in a pre-COVID environment, right?
I
And I think
know.
post-COVID Bharat is very real, right? I mean, of course, there are
Exactly,
certain systemic
exactly.
issues,
Yeah.
but I think
So
Bharat is very, very real in that
yeah,
sense.
so I can guarantee you that if an audit happens of the solution that we are building, okay,
Right.
none of the escrow companies across the world will have our suite. Okay, the way we are building, what we are building, it's a totally
Mhm.
different thing, a totally
Right.
different Indianized version of the product.
Very interesting. Vinny, I think I like the way you put it, right? And I think the entire consultative approach of building a product, I think, is actually very new, but also very relevant, right? Because I think market is kind of evolved in a way where the business requirements and the consumer requirements are very, very different, right? I think you cannot really build it in a silo and then go out and dish it out, right? I mean, of course, that's possible in certain cases, in certain SaaS scenarios, but I think when you are kind of building such solutions, right? I think that interaction is very important, and I think that's possibly an approach that I kind of reckon with, and I kind of believe is also very important, and I think it's going to be relevant going forward as well. Vineet, one common challenge uh, which I think many startups kind of face, right, is around building the right team, right?
Yeah,
And escrow is not a very quote unquote very sexy product, right? Very glamorous product, right?
very right. Yeah,
And fintech is seeing a huge surge of professionals who've been there in the industry for good 8, 9, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, maybe more, right? Who are actually now coming in and joining early stage startups, right, or fintechs, right, and which are kind of disrupting the way traditional banking was done, right, or traditional instruments were kind of built, designed, offered, right. What's the team construct right now? And has this been an easy or a challenging play, right, to go out and create a team which would sort of come
yeah.
in and crack this bit? How is that aspect of the game and business been?
Yeah. So Ashu, it has been both, you can say, easy and
Good.
difficult. Easy because Dinesh and Ritesh, both my co-founders, I've known them
Right.
for a while. Dinesh, I've known for 20 years.
Right.
Like me, he was an early stage employee at InfoEdge, and we
Right.
were a part of the same team for, you can
Uh-huh.
say, 15 odd years.
Right.
And Ritesh, I've known since my MobiQuick days,
Hmm.
so we know each other. But yes, it's difficult as well, because it's very difficult. We are a humble setup.
Right.
This is not a very sexy kind of an idea.
Right.
We did not go out and raise too much of money. Even after our pre-seed round of $500,000, we are still bootstrapping. Founders don't take any salary. Okay.
Interesting.
So it
Right.
was difficult to convince them to leave their
Right.
jobs and come here and work for nothing,
Right.
just on a dream and just on an idea
Right.
that we are building something very meaningful.
Right.
But now you can say a few quarters down the line, as clients trust us with transactions worth tens of crores,
Right.
I think there is greater confidence. And look, we've been, all of us, especially me, has been in this business or game, whatever you may call it, for a long time.
Right.
So there is no easy way. Any successful entrepreneur you look at, they
Right.
spend 3, 4, 5 years bootstrapping. Okay.
Mhm.
So that cycle you cannot run away from. Okay. Like
Right.
Sanjeev at InfoEdge, he bootstrapped for 10, 12 years. Okay. In that sense, he had a very hard road to success. So I think this is baptism by fire for my founding team as well. And we've
Right.
tried to carry forward the same narrative to our other team members as well.
Right.
So we has Abhinav, who was our product lead. He's an ex-entrepreneur.
Right.
Okay, who we have taken on board. When I hired him at a 25% lesser salary than his last salary.
Right. Right.
Okay. Then
Interesting.
Kaustuv, who's our tech lead, he's also an ex-entrepreneur.
Right.
And then I was able to convince him, look, this is more serious, more meaningful, greater chances of success. So why don't
Right.
you come on board here? So he came
Right.
on board. And
Right.
the recent entrant has been Varun, who's come from Kotak Bank. He's our, you can say, banker or banking specialist.
Right.
So he's a young man, around 9, 10 years of experience and very deep experience on the escrow side. So all
Wonderful.
of them have come on the same narrative that we are here for a few years together.
Right.
All of us have to bootstrap, and it has to hurt a bit.
Right.
थोड़ा दर्द होता है तो ज़्यादा मेहनत होती है. Okay, so all of them, yes, have sacrificed some bit on the compensation side
Right.
to show their faith and belief in the model and in the team as such. And yes, so yeah, now it is becoming easier as we are in the market. The right things are happening, the right noises are happening. So it will become easier. But yeah, I think still a fairly bumpy road ahead over the next few years as we scale.
Interesting. Vineet, one thing, and we were talking about this offline, right? Something that I want to kind of register and record here is the policy around escrow, right? Now, internationally, if you look at certain countries, certain sectors, there is a very clear mandate, right? There's a very clear visibility in terms of the law around escrow, right? The process around it, adoption of it, right? And that literally makes it mandatory in each transaction, right? To adopt it, right? What are your thoughts about the Indian ecosystem, right? Because there is nothing of that sort that very clearly exists, right? There is a deficit there. There is a lack of clarity. There is a gap there, right?
Exactly.
We're too large an economy anyway, right? But there are massive deceits and and wrong trades which are happening, and like something that you highlighted anyway, right? What's your take on that particular bit, right? Is that something which you think needs to be addressed and quick? Given the ecosystem now that we are in, and like I completely agree, right, with what you said, right? There are a lot of faceless transactions that are happening, right, and it will continue to sort of increase as we go along, right? Thus, it makes it very, very important and critical to sort of have that policy level piece being factored in, right? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so no, very good question, Ashu. So look, globally, you can say regulation comes after innovation. Okay.
Right.
The same thing is happening in India. Wallets came first, then
Good.
the regulation. Peer-to-peer lending came first, then the regulation.
Mhm.
Now you see a lot of, I think every month there is a new fintech business model, okay,
Right.
that gets launched. Okay. So regulation may come. I don't think there is any hard regulation on the escrow banking side.
Right.
Escrow banking is still not available at a API level as such because of the kind and nature of the construct of the product as well, in
Right.
that sense. So we work under the aegis of a bank,
Mhm.
with a partnership with the bank, closely with
Right.
them.
Right.
We every transaction use case that is new, we run it past them, run it through them.
Right.
There is a huge regulatory agenda on curbing money laundering, anti-money laundering practices. Okay, so we ensure that we work with only those businesses where hard KYC happens,
Right.
where I know that who's the other party I'm transacting with, that the identity of that party has been KYC'd, the bank
Right.
account of that party has been validated.
Right.
So
Mhm.
we ensure we do that.
Right.
We have lost a lot of business because of insistence on this paradigm, but
Right.
I think this will hold us in good stead in
Right.
future.
Right.
Okay. that who are the transacting parties, are they verified, what is the source of funds, are the bank
Right.
accounts validated. So I
Right.
think this is the core basic pillars on which we are building our business, that
Mhm.
we will open our pipes to only those transacting parties, only those customers where
Sure.
they are willing to undergo full KYC, full individual or corporate level verification and
Right.
bank account validation.
Interesting.
If that does not happen, we will not work with them, and we
But
have
Vinny,
already
that's
said no to so much of business.
that's more self-regulation, right?
Yes.
I mean, you spoke of Bharat, right? And I think Bharat is a very complicated, very distributed. It's and many kind of local economies coming together, right? And Bharat is very complex. I mean, we use it loosely, right? I mean, people have tried to sort of say, document it in some form and way. But as soon as you get to the delivery side of it, right? As soon as you start looking at the consumption, as soon as you start to look at, the real Bharat on the ground, it's a very very complicated ecosystem, right? And all of a sudden we've just jumped the curve, right? Because of COVID, right? Digital adoption is going through the roof. Do you think, right? While of course you are on the self-regulation side of it, saying that listen, we're going to ensure that there is a transparency and there is a trust and everything is validated and verified on the other side, right? Or between the transacting parties, so that there's no wrong trade which is happening, right? But do you think policies become important, right? That the government needs to sort of intervene, saying that there are certain escrow needs to be an established practice across, say, transacting bodies, trades, could be enablers, right? But do you think that's something which is becoming important, given that also the education ecosystem, for example, is still kind of picking up, right? We
Right.
are still a very education deficit country in that sense, right? I mean, of course, there is NEP, there's a lot of work which is happening on that front, but we need more and more education, right? Financial literacy, again, is a big problem. So do you think unless we have a policy, the the wrongdoing in transaction and trade will continue to happen, and that can only be managed if you have savvy players like yourself to be bringing in an application that could be integrated with, say, the current transaction system, trade system, or something like that, right? What are your thoughts? I mean, do you think there is a government has a larger play a role in the scheme of things in the current setting?
Yeah. No, very well said, Ashu. Yes, I guess the government has a huge role to play. I think simple stuff can be done by the government, which is like asking every platform or business to KYC their customers.
Mhm.
Okay. Very simple to do. And if any fraud happens, very simple to trace the fraudulent parties as well.
Right.
Okay. Digital solutions are available aplenty, and they
Right.
are so democratized in terms of fee, etc. It's not that I will run away with 10% or 5% of your profit if you start using it. We are
Right.
talking about a few rupees per transacting party in terms of KYC. So
Right.
I think these are very few, very simple things. Even large businesses, you can say, sidestep it because oh, let the regulation come, and then only
Right.
we will do it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Whereas some things are, you can say, the right things to do. Okay.
Right.
So naturally, as you said, self-regulation, the larger businesses or who can afford to, who have the technical know-how and the capability, I think they should be doing the good to do stuff as well,
Mhm.
rather than need to do, where the regulator is standing on your head and ensuring that you need to do the need to do stuff.
Right.
And the regulator maybe make it more simple and more comprehensive, that hey, look,
Right.
if you're doing a trans, transaction, yeah, KYC the other party.
Mhm.
Okay. In
Right.
case खुदा ना खास्ता कहीं fraud हो गया. Okay.
Right.
So we know that we know whom to run after. Okay.
Right.
We know to which account the money was paid to.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
In that
Mhm.
sense,
Right.
it will solve a lot of problem. And look, as a country, the kind of country we are, okay, there is crime, there is terrorism. Okay.
Right.
And I understand, and I am a big supporter of government's agenda on anti-money laundering as well,
Mhm.
because till we get a grip on that, how will we stop terrorism?
Right.
Okay. जब तक पैसा easily available है, cash easily available है, okay, then funding will happen for nefarious activities as well.
Right. Right.
Okay. So it is extremely important for us to get a grip on that. The business should also be proactive, help the government. The government can the government do more? Yes, I think in a country like India, the government can always do more.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting. I like the way you put it. And I think two things that have actually occurred to me, Vineet, when you making this point, right? I think one is, of course, there's going to be so much lesser pressure on judiciary, right? I think trade disputes around, and like we discussed earlier, right? Which happened where there's a certain transaction that has happened, the transaction hasn't gone through. I think those disputes continue to go on. I think with a system like this, there's going to be just so much lesser pressure in that sense, because parties know their roles, responsibilities very very clear right at the outset of the transaction. I think that's one. Second, I think is also the fact that while of course, I don't think you're kind of talking about it, but I think there is a huge role that players like yourself have in ensuring that the velocity of transaction increases, right? Because if there are parties that are verified in both ends, I mean, if for example there are two parties who are to get into trade, right? You try and establish, you know, uh, the kind of the depth and the wherewithal of that the other entity by doing 10 other things, right? And this could just make it so much more simpler, saying that there is a transaction that we're doing in escrow, right? And that could mean that typically a cycle which could be a 3 month 4 month cycle of transaction between say business A and business B would just be so much more faster, right? Because uh, uh, I mean the money is essentially going into an escrow, right? It's not,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not changing hands, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
each one has to kind of complete their responsibilities, right, before it can get released.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, Ashu, this is great. Without, I think, having this conversation with you, the narrative of our business is that we will enable businesses do more transactions with existing and new customers. That is
right.
the solution that we are providing. We are
I
building a
think
solution. We're building a platform where businesses or individuals can transact with known customers or unknown customers more and more frequently and grow their business. I think that
I
is
think I think
the, yeah, that
I
is
think
the.
we are I think we've made you look like a hero for sure. No, and I think we just highlighted. I know, but I think
Yeah,
we just
yeah,
highlighted a very important piece,
yeah,
right? And I think
yeah,
that's a very. I think there's always a need for a third party to come in and establish that that seriousness, right? Otherwise, I think business's job is to sort of do trade, right? It is not to establish or verify trust, right? And I think in a way is something which is being enabled beautifully by you and some of the other players that are there in the market. Vineet, I'm going to move on to a different question, right? And you highlighted something on the new banking side of things, right? I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to look at say more payments, right? And when you look at the payments ecosystem, right? While of course there is a huge enablement which is happening, what is also happening is that there is a certain informational stack which is getting built in the process, right? And that informational stack over a period of time helps you assess risk, right? And I think that's possibly the case in your with what you're doing at Castler, right? How do you see that, right? I mean, or let me put it this, right? How do you see your role evolving when there is a certain X amount of transactions that you've done, right? How are you using that data to assess risk for your trade partners? Is that a
yeah.
core area of focus that you have at Casper in the
So
product roadmap?
yeah, so not as of now, Ashu. We are too
Right.
small for that. Okay. On the consumer and MSME side, where you can say we are yet to see,
Mhm.
you can say reasonable amount of traction, maybe
Right.
that will become meaningful.
Sure.
On the mid-sized to large corporate side, we provide them with complete, you can say, privacy
Right.
and you can say secrecy of their data and their transacting parties, so
Right.
that they will use our pipes, our solutions to transact more and more.
Right.
Okay. So our
Interesting.
first agenda is to build the trust around our solution so that
Adoption.
businesses embrace us. They
Right.
start using us and start, you can say, executing transactions worth tens of millions of dollars, if not
Right.
hundreds of millions of dollars on our platform. Okay. The first
Interesting.
agenda is that. I think for that, you need to provide a certain basic level of basic hygiene, a certain
Right.
level of basic hygiene, security, privacy, secrecy,
Right.
for the trust to build up and the transactions to happen.
Absolutely.
So as of now, we don't have an immediate agenda to, you can say, data mine the transaction or the customers and what they are doing on the
Right.
platform per se.
Right.
But as we become more democratized, as more and more consumers and MSMEs start using us, I think the more innovative use of data will be on the consumer side and on the MSME side rather than the large corporate side.
Right. I think that's very interesting, Vineet. Vineet, one point that stayed with me, right? And I have a question on adoption, right? While of course, I think escrows existed for the longest time, right? Adoption has been a little bit of a challenge, right? And this is, and like I said, right? I mean, India as a market, we're not necessarily a very, we're not necessarily, very, very, kind of active or accepting when it comes to say building additional cost in transaction, right?
Right.
Adoption is typically a challenge, right? And you know what I mean, right? We continue to sort of avoid as much as we can, right? Uh, what is it? And I think you highlighted something which is right at the start, right? Saying that, listen, we've not done anything, right? We've not done any SEO, we've not done anything, right? We've actually gone B2B. We've spoken of the few friends and stuff like that, right? But my sense is that I think Castle is going to be beyond that, right? Where you will be talking to the common audience, saying that, this is something which exists. If you're doing a transaction, engage with us, right? Adopt this. What is that process going to be, right? Is that something that you've started to think about right now? Is that I mean, is that a puzzle that you've already started to work on cracking, or is this something that you're going to do later
Yeah,
and not
yeah.
part of the immediate agenda?
So no, we have, you can say, taken the first baby steps, Ashu, towards,
Sure.
you can say, understanding what kind of attraction a democratized product
Right.
will get in the market.
Sure.
So we've launched our consumer escrow solution,
Right.
where you can come to our platform, register yourself, invite the other party. They will
Right.
register. Registration means KYC and bank account
Right.
validation.
Right.
You can execute your agreement online and start using a digital escrow. Okay.
Mhm.
So we've launched this product in a silent kind of a manner.
Right.
Okay. And you can say on a daily basis, some of the other
Right.
traction happens. So let's see how this plays out. But look, this is a slightly big boy kind of a game. This is
Right.
more brand led. So for this, we will have to, you can say, spend a little bit of money in building
Right.
our brand, building our network,
Right.
expanding the business to some extent. Okay.
Right.
Because at a consumer level, winning trust is a different ball game. At an
Right.
enterprise level, winning trust is a different kind of a ball game.
Right.
So I can't play the game with, you can say, a humble team and humble resources on the
Interesting.
both fronts. So, but since we are, you can say, product tech kind of folks, understand solutioning to a great extent. So
Right.
at a solution level, we have launched it,
Right.
and we will see the market and what kind of traction happens. If the numbers are on the right side, we'll keep on investing.
Interesting.
But we know that let's say 10 years hence, yes, I think India as a country, the kind of people we are, the way we transact, the kind and nature of transactions, escrow should have a significant proportion of that transactions, at least transactions which are, you can say, high value, where you are purchasing real estate or art or used vehicles or stamp and coin collections, etc., and other stuff. Okay.
Right.
Or even
Right.
online. Okay. That I don't think anybody should be transacting on a Just Dial, India Mart, OLX, and Quicker without using the Castle escrow.
Very interesting. Vineet, you literally walked me into my next question, right? And which is that you've raised one round of capital, right? And you have some amazing investors, who are on board, right? One, of course, tell us a little about your relationship there, because I think they entered when this was relatively new, right? I think the product was still coming together. I think the core team
Right.
was there, but I think
Yeah.
you're still sort of building that particular bit, right? And second question, essentially, which is in continuation of this one, is that we've seen the kind of valuation, right? We've seen the kind of rush which is out there. There is, I mean, I think across many of my conversations, I think one thing that we've established is that there is massive amount of liquidity right now, right? I mean, also the fact of the Zomato listing that we saw, right? And I think there is a very positive sentiment in that sense, right? What are your thoughts about that, right? What of course has been that relationship that you've had, and uh, what's in the future, right? Given the ecosystem we are in.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, from the very beginning, I think our investors have been very supportive of the
Sure.
founding team. So all of them, you can say, bet on us at our idea stage.
Right.
The product was not ready. It was just a presentation, just a PPT.
Right.
And so AngelList, VCATS, Let's Venture, Point One Capital, Nine Unicorn.
Right.
So they have supported us all along, and they are
Mm-hmm.
still supporting us.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you can say the market is reasonably hot on the liquidity side. We went out to raise 500,000.
Right.
We got commitments of around 10 CR, but
Right.
but we passed that because the valuation was humble, and I thought that at an idea stage we don't need that kind of money
Right.
just to launch a product and do a POC and check out the
Right.
PMF. So I think we took what we actually needed
Right.
from the guys whom we needed from,
Right.
and try to curate the transaction that we get those investors on board who
Right.
at least have some understanding of the escrow as a product,
Right.
who have used it in certain use cases, and also our narrative of building business, that we want
Right.
patient investors, we want patient capital. We are looking at building a serious banking business, so
Right.
it's going to take a while. It's not about we will not be launching something where we are going to ask people to open savings account as such.
Right.
So nothing wrong against businesses trying to do savings account, but here every escrow account is about a transaction which is several crores worth. Okay.
Right.
So we do a different kind of a business. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, it is like a wealth management company which has 500 customers where the average net worth is 100 cr, and a
Right.
wealth management company which has 5 lakh customers where the
Right.
average net worth is, let's say, 50 lakh rupees or 25 lakh rupees.
Interesting.
So we are at the top end right now. So and slowly it will start trickling down. So
Right.
we took a contrarian approach to, you can say, our go-to market. So
Right.
hopefully that will pan out. But yes, yeah, the market is great for entrepreneurship. Great time to become an entrepreneur in India.
Right.
The
Right.
Indian market is outstanding. I think
Right.
apart from a few markets across the world, maybe US may be a little hot,
Right.
maybe ahead of India in terms of product and technology.
Right.
China is totally different, so I don't consider China as a relevant kind of a market. It works in a silo in that
Right.
sense, right?
Right.
So maybe Israel. So
Right.
we are amongst the top 5 markets in the world in terms of tech and product innovation. Okay.
Right.
So why won't you want to work in India? Why won't you want to start up on your own? There is
No, I
capital.
kind of agree with you. I think this is the best
There is
time. And
capital available. Great times.
Yeah, absolutely, it can't be sweeter than this, right?
Yes, yeah.
But you haven't answered my question on what's next, right? On the fundraise front, right? Something. Are we going to hear something soon? Is there something on the cards? Are you focused on product development? I'm giving you a safer option there. But what? Yeah, on that one.
Yeah. So Ashu, look, as of now, we are well capitalized. Okay.
Right.
So we have a decent runway with the last fundraise that we did a few months back. And we just went live just a
Right.
few months back.
Sure.
So current focus is on, you can say, running the business, acquiring more customers, stabilizing the product,
Right.
adding more features. But yes, as you yourself said, market is very hot. Almost every week, somebody or the other comes knocking.
Right.
Okay, so we keep on talking to current and potential investors as well. So let's see. Maybe, inshallah, kuch achhi news denge kuch time mein.
Vineet, I was talking to a very dear founder friend, right? And they've done a series like a sizable series A, right? And I was talking to him, just about a few days back, and he said, "Listen, I'm covered for 7 years, right? I have a business where I'm making money. I have raised a reasonable amount. I have a runway for 7 years, right?" And I said, "What's next?" Right? And he said that, "No, we're in the market. That gives us another 7 years, right?" And I think the mindset is very different. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
No, but I think it's exciting, right? I think fintech as a whole is very, very exciting, and I think with what's happening is extremely exciting, right? And I think the possibility that a lot of these business models will converge into much larger solutions and not just say limited to step one of what possibly some of these are offering, right? I think and I think India needs a very dynamic banking and financial services fintech ecosystem, right? For the size we are. Vineet, what's the last question, right? What are the next 2 years like for Castler, right? What is keeping you and your team awake, right?
Yeah. So look, what keeps us awake is that are we building the right, you can say, product and solution?
Right.
That are we building something where people are going to trust us with transactions worth hundreds of millions of dollars?
Right.
Okay. I want to see Castler in Economic Times ads that $1 billion deal happened and the digital escrow was Castler. Okay. So that's my, you can say, dream or vision for Castler. That's the kind of business I see Castler becoming.
Right.
Okay.
But that's an easy one. That's an easy one.
Okay. Let's see.
I'm saying I wish it was, and I'm sure it was Castler did $1 billion round or something, or $1 billion, the new unicorn.
Not funding, transactions.
Oh, no, fair enough. So what I'm saying also from a valuation standpoint, right? I think which is a function of your right? And I think hopefully it'll get there.
Yeah. So look, valuation business, it's all a journey. Okay. So we are on the right track. Our current numbers look great, frankly. Sure. So our current numbers are very good. There is, you can say, demand in the market. We have a good pipeline of customers. So we are focused on that. We have good investors, and the new investors conversations are also, you can say, interesting and serious.
Right.
So I think, interesting space for us. A new opportunity has come in terms of cross-border. Right. Okay. So we've just started thinking about that, and hopefully in the next few months, we will be able to launch the cross-border offering for SMBs and FSMEs in India as well on the escrow side. which will provide them another route of payment than the letter of credit in that
Right.
sense. So yeah, all hands on deck, and reasonably, you can say, very, very busy.
Very interesting. I loved every bit of this conversation. I think there is a very important aspect which was around international trade, and I think we didn't touch on that, right? But I'll
Yes.
possibly save that for our next conversation. I think that's a
Yes.
massive, massive space, right? I
Yep.
think with what's happening in that space, I think the trust deficit and ecosystem is so fragile, right? That I think that requires an immediate attention, right? But Vineet, loved every bit of this interaction. Thank you so much for taking the time out. It was a pleasure to have you with us, and I genuinely look forward to having you with us very soon. Hopefully, with a good big news. All the best to you, and all the best to the entire team at Castler Escrow.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashu. Really appreciate this opportunity of having a chat with you after a long time. And yeah, good luck to ATJ as well, and to Kastler as well. Yep.
Thank you, Vineet.
Thanks, Ashu. Bye.